be conscious about what you spend, negotiate your worth for a job, and don't be shy about wanting more money. Like I think we're not supposed to say that, are we? We're not supposed to say that we want more money, but there's nothing shameful in it. And wait till you're 60, it becomes very important to you. But part of that is understand where you spend money in the first place and
Mm.
make sacrifices when you're younger so that you can live a little when you're older. That's pretty much what's worked for us.
Welcome. I'm Lisa Clements, founder of Clear Springs Wealth. Money Talks with Female Leaders aims to break taboos surrounding women and money and boost your own financial confidence. You'll hear powerhouse women share their personal and professional experiences with money. They tackle questions spanning from why money is important, how money has shaped their careers, and how much they spend on a bottle of wine or a one-week vacation. I hope you enjoy. Hello, Bronwyn. How are you today?
Hello, Lisa. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm so
Long
excited to be
time. Long
speaking
time
to
no see.
someone with another incredible accent. I love it.
I've been in the US for 30 years and I still sound like this.
Oh, really? 30 years?
30 years.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, you and I know each other from working together at Meta.
Mhm.
And so it's great to have the opportunity to reconnect. I would love for you to start off by telling our listeners just a little bit about where you are in life. Like, how old are you? Where do you live? Are you married, single, kids, pets? And just give us the personal data first, and then we'll dig into your background.
So I have to give you my age first, do I? Fair enough. Actually, I'm 59. I'm going to be
Fantastic.
I'm going to be 60 this year. And I have been married to the same person for 40 years.
Oh,
Yeah. Paul,
amazing.
I
Congratulations.
think we've met Paul, no?
Yes, I have met Paul. He's
So
fantastic.
we'll be 40 years this year. And we live in Annapolis, or just outside of Annapolis. We live on the eastern shore of Annapolis, we're about an hour outside DC.
Okay.
Lived all over the US at various times, but we think we've fairly settled here. Yeah, so I've been working for, how long must that be now? 40 years? 35, 40 years? Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. And,
Now, when I was preparing for our conversation, I noticed that when you went to school, you did a Bachelor of Arts in History and Poli Sci.
I
And
did.
I'm like, I did not know this about her. What was your intent? Like, what were you thinking when you went to school and chose that as a major? I'm curious.
Well, I don't know. Does an 18-year-old going off to college have intent? Are you planning? Are you purposeful at that age? No, I followed my passion. I just really liked those particular subjects. And so I went off and did a degree. Yeah, I don't know that was that intentional, but it was simply to enjoy my education.
Okay.
And so I came out as a teacher. I did another year doing a diploma in education, excuse me, and then I started teaching. So I was a teacher in my early career. That's about all you can do with the history and poli sci degree. Yeah.
Got it. How many years did you teach? Like, what, and was it elementary or secondary?
I taught, wait for it, in a Catholic boys' high school. And yeah, it was pretty strict environment. I taught for about 6 years, 7 years before I got into recruiting. Yeah. But
Very cool. I did not know that. I love that.
and that I've taught in a Catholic boys private boarding school.
Yes. I would imagine that's quite an experience.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So, how did you transition into recruiting from being a teacher?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, at that time, all of that experience was in Australia. My husband Paul got a work assignment. He was working for Honeywell, and there
Okay.
was a joint military project between Honeywell and E-Systems Raytheon in Texas. So we moved to Texas. And when I got to Texas, I couldn't get certified to teach. They wanted a US accreditation. And so I kind of thought, all right, well, maybe I have to retool and re-career. And so I went to a recruiting agency in Dallas and said, while I'm waiting for my green card or permission to work, I'll work for free if you teach me the business of recruiting. So they said, fine, we will hire you as an intern. Have you seen that movie, The World's Oldest Intern?
Right.
That was me. I was classified as an intern. And after 6 months, I got my green card. And then they brought me on full time. And actually, they were very sweet. They gave me a sign on bonus equivalent to salary for the last, the period of time that I'd worked for free.
Aw.
I was drawn to that industry because I just like the sort of the marriage of jobs and people and their careers and skill sets. And so I've never been back to teaching since, but that's how I sort of fell into recruiting when we got to the US. And I've been doing that ever since 1995 is when we came to the US.
Wow. And you have an extremely impressive career over or almost 10 years with Cisco, almost 3 years with Microsoft, 8 years with Meta, and then just recently, you're coming up on 1 year now with Harman.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm so interested to hear your views on money. Really quick though, tell us, I know you've been escalating through all the different roles in recruiting and recruiting leadership. What is your current role and responsibility, and what does Harman do?
That's a good question because when the recruiter at Harman called me, I don't mind admitting that I said the same thing. Who? Who are you? Who's Harman?
Uh-huh.
Harman International is, if you like, a parent brand of many brands underneath, which with whom you would be familiar. So JBL, B&O, Bang& Olufsen on the car auto side. So essentially, they started off as a company that made the entertainment systems inside cars. And it's expanded much beyond that now. And so they also make entertainment systems for concert arenas and other consumer type party boxes and things like that.
Ah,
It's a lovely company. And yes, I am the global head of recruiting for Harman. So
okay.
finally, at age nearly 60, I'm running the show. And that's kind of nice. And that might be a nice way to end my career, I think.
Okay.
Um, uh, what drew me to them, I think, was just their authentic culture, lovely people. They are headquartered both sort of it's in Connecticut, but more in Midwest in Michigan because we with Ford and GM, and
Yeah.
of course in Munich is the other really big presence because we work with BMW and Mercedes and so all of the big auto companies. So it's a lovely culture, authentic, a little bit Midwestern if I'm allowed to say that, not quite as frenetic as a big tech company. So I'm very
Yes.
much enjoying it. Yes. And I've managed to just increase my responsibility and I don't mind saying my salary, my compensation each time as I've gone. So I'm very happy with that career trajectory.
Fantastic. Okay, let's dig in. I am so interested to hear your answers to my litany of money questions here. So we'll just dig in and see where we go. Let's start off with, why is money important to you?
Well, it is. And I don't mind saying I don't mind admitting that. Let's get that on the table. It is. Um,
Okay.
I'm not shy about admitting that. Money's freedom. Money's about the ability to have opportunity. Paul and I love to travel, and
Mhm.
we do like to travel well. We like to travel in style. And you might hear the doorbell soon. I have a cleaning team of people that come on Thursdays.
Okay.
Money's that. Money is that ability to be able to enjoy your life and outsource some of your services.
Yeah.
But more than that, I think intrinsically, it's a reflection of what you've accomplished. And so although you can buy lots of nice stuff with it, it's a reflection of your hard work and success over the period of your career. That's why it's important. That's why every time I've looked at moving companies. I feel like the company needs to pay me for the accumulation of my experience and not just for the job they want me to do. And so
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with saying that to a company, to say, I bring to you 30 years worth of experience, and that's really what you're paying me for. Versus, yes, I know you want me to do this job and this is what this job pays, but you're getting more than that. So it's a reflection of
Okay.
your success.
Okay. Was money talked about at home for you when you were growing up?
It was, but really under the guise of we don't have enough. My parents
Okay.
were, I don't like to label them, but you wouldn't say they were rich in any way. My father was born in the 20s, and so he was a child of the Depression, and my mother was born in the 30s. She grew up during the war, rationing and doing without. My father talks about times when, often one of six children, they didn't have enough to feed everybody in the family for every meal. They didn't get 3 meals a day. So
Mm.
when I was growing up, it was always talked about through the lens of being frugal, never having enough, not being wasteful, accounting for every penny that you spend. We weren't destitute, but my parents were careful. My parents were very careful, and so
What?
that impacted me, I think.
Yeah, what influence do you think that had on you as you grew up and entered your own, adulthood?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a lot of the same. It's about being cautious with money, but at the same time, your ability to earn will impact your ability to get out of that cycle and maybe have a few luxury items. I don't think my mum and dad ever spent luxuriously on themselves. They only spent when they needed to. And as we might talk about later, I can be frugal, very frugal with certain things, particularly things around the house.
Mm.
I think that rubbed off on me always, to account for your spending, spend it if it makes sense, but don't don't fritter it away. And particularly when you're younger, save, prepare for later in life. Yeah. Very much an
Okay.
impact.
That's a great answer. You already answered my next question, which was, what are your current day money beliefs? And so it sounds like you're saying be able to account for your spending, be frugal where you can be, but don't deny yourself luxury items as well.
That's right.
Did I get that right?
Exactly. I'm a bit of a cash spender versus a
Okay.
credit card spender for
Okay.
day-to-day things, because I like's a funny word, but I like the feeling of it disappearing out of my hand, because I feel if I don't like that. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
appreciate that I'm conscious when I spend cash. I feel like if I go out and on day-to-day things, I just use a credit card, I get home and I really don't know how much I've spent, because you
Mm.
charge whatever you like, but I always keep cash in my purse, and I spend cash because I feel that makes me more conscious of what I'm spending and where I'm spending it. So yeah, I'm a bit of a dinosaur. I'm the cash gal. Yeah.
Fascinating. That's great. Okay. When, we talked about your career and just working for these incredibly impressive companies. As you've worked such a demanding career over time, how have you managed your finances? Is that something that you're in charge of, or does Paul handle it, or do you do it together? What's your approach been?
Very good question. I control the finances. For the same reason, it's this cash thing. I pay the bills, so
Okay.
I'm remaining conscious about how much we spend on things.
Is Paul much of a spender?
Oh yes, another
Uh,
reason why I
okay, okay. So you kind of rein it in then.
now Paul doesn't spend on himself. Paul's extremely generous. Paul will spend on me, and he'll
Okay.
spend on others, and he'll spend on the house. He won't spend on himself. But he's such a sweetie that he will buy gifts for other people, mostly me. But I try and it's this level of consciousness about what you're spending. so that I can splurge when I want to splurge. Like when we moved into this house for 2 years, I did a tracker and I just kept a little Excel spreadsheet of every time we either paid the mortgage, paid the property taxes, insurance on the house, the cars, the gas, groceries, all the utility bills, and accounted for at least once a year, one of your appliances is going to need replacement. And when you do that, I was totally surprised about just how much money you spend on a day to day basis and how that tallies up over the year. I know I need to earn in order to maintain this house and this sort of lifestyle. So it really helps to inform you about how much you're spending. Again, it's this level of consciousness about money
How
is
has that influenced the either the jobs you've taken or the companies you've worked with?
I think it's got to be a marriage between a company that values you and therefore pays you the right amount of money, but at the same time, a company that you have a passion for. I think
Okay.
once in my career, I went totally for the money. I kind
Okay.
of knew when I was interviewing that, oh, this company didn't grab me much, but they actually offered me a sensational package. It was a good salary, very good salary. And then to manage the recruiting team, wait for it, they agreed to pay me $500 for every position we filled where I didn't use an agency. Because the context was the recruiting team just totally outsourced everything to agencies and didn't do any of it themselves. So I sort of rebuilt the recruiting team, and
Right.
every placement that we made without using an agency, because they figured spending $500 on me versus spending $20,000 on an agency fee was good for them. I, can you imagine? I had plans to buy a mega yacht, I think.
Oh my gosh, no kidding. 10
Yeah.
positions and
Five
no,
or 500.
$5,000. Yes. Okay.
They were horrible.
Oh,
I then realized that's the reason why they offered me this deal, because they thought that would keep me there in the face of they weren't a company that operated with honesty, with integrity. It was just horrible. And even all the leadership fought amongst themselves. Within 6 months, I knew it wasn't going to last. But it
mhm.
was a lesson about not balancing both a great company and a great culture and environment and a company that values your expertise and pays you the amount. If you just go for the money, as I did in that one time, that can backfire a little.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you ever take a career risk for higher income? So, for example, you're, performing well, loving the company, things are moving along fine, but you get approached and it's like, oh, do I leave what
Yeah.
is so comfortable to take this risk to elevate? Yeah. Were you ever in that kind of a situation?
I think it was that company.
Really?
And since then, I haven't done it. Since
Okay.
then, I've been able to blend the two of a position that really thrills me and excites me and I feel passion for, and a bump in compensation as well. So I've been lucky to be able to do that. But if you don't balance that, I think it will come back to bite you. So I was drawn by this big fancy title and the big salary, and hey, we're going to give you all this money every time you or your team make a hire and fill a rec.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I was temporarily blindsided by that.
Right. I would be too. I would
You,
be too,
come
for
on, you would
sure.
have done it too. You would
I
have done it.
know. I absolutely, absolutely.
That's a bit too enticing to turn down, but now I learned my lesson.
Yeah. When you made your big moves, for example, Cisco to Microsoft, Microsoft to Meta, Meta to Harman, did you negotiate your salary package as part of your hiring process?
Absolutely. Yes.
Did you
And
start off doing that right from the beginning of your career, or was that something you learned to do at a certain point?
I think you learn it. I don't think you ever start off that savvy. And I think when you Well, certainly from my experience, when you first enter the workforce, you completely go for something that you love to do and you want to do,
Hmm.
teaching, which doesn't pay that much. Then you kind of get a little bit more understanding about, firstly, your level of experience, how has that grown, and what value you can bring. But at the same time, you learn to be a bit more practical about balancing both the company and the compensation. But yes, I'm just trying to think back. I think on every role, I've negotiated a salary, or it isn't always salary. It could have been stock. It could have been some sort of additional benefits. But yes, every time, with the exception of the company that called me after that bad one.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, well, how fast can I join? And that was actually Cisco. They did end up paying me more, but I would have gone for less because I was just so desperate to get out of that.
Take me now.
Yeah, exactly. When can I? Yes, and you shouldn't feel guilty about doing that. I think we shrink away a little bit from
Mhm.
doing that, and we feel like we're being ungrateful because a company is presenting us an opportunity, and you may love the job, but you shouldn't miss the opportunity to negotiate, um, because it's really the last one you'll get for a long time. Because once you're at the company, you're in the system, you're in the regular company's cadence of promos and merit increases, and there's not much that's negotiable about that. So take the opportunity when you're first talking to companies and be. I still have things to learn. I'm not the perfect specimen, but at the time you bring expertise to the table, you should be paid for that, and you should negotiate for that. So, but it's very hard.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
in your
Especially you don't want to
team,
go into a new company with them thinking you're greedy. Or
right?
you don't want to go in like, well, she's pushy. We have extended an offer to her? But you're right. It's part of the process. Like we have to advocate for ourselves because those company changes are really where the biggest increases happen.
Yes. Like I said, I think once you're there, you have so little opportunity to influence your compensation. And the only way that you can do it is, oh, well, you have to work hard and get promoted.
Yeah.
Coming in at the start is where you've got the opportunity to do that.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Have you ever invested in professional development to boost your earning potential?
Good question. In the early days, yes. Probably less so more recently, but I went back to college to get
Okay.
additional degrees
Really?
in the early part. I got a postgrad diploma, and then I got a postgraduate degree as well. Um, so I've pursued more of the education route. I know a lot of people think of MBAs and things like that. So I did more education that way. I went back to college
Okay.
and spent dollars that way. Mm.
Okay. Nothing though you would recommend for mid-career to higher level professionals, no particular coaching or leadership development classes that you'd recommend.
Yes, if you can get those through your current company, you should avail yourself of those opportunities.
Okay.
And for many years, and I know you did this too, for many years, I would buy every business book around and read them. And even if I just took one nugget or two nuggets from those, um, but most corporate environments now, if you're in one of those, will offer you those opportunities. So go ask, go
Yes.
ask your manager to see what's available that you can do.
Yeah, agree. Have you ever tried a side hustle to boost your income?
Oh, yes. Now, I told you because you asked me very rudely at the top of the podcast. You asked me my age, uh,
Very rudely.
very rudely.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
yeah, this is on my mind because I feel being closer to retirement. Paul and I have worked over the last couple of years to start other ways of generating income that when we leave the corporate world, we can continue to be financially self-sufficient.
Okay.
Um, that and that's the way people should look at retirement now. stopping going into an office every day in the corporate environment doesn't really mean you're retired. People have all kinds of side hustles. So for me, the side hustle has been about continuing to generate income so that I could leave the corporate world. We've done a few things. I have quite the handbag collection, which I could sell on eBay and live for, the next 20 years. Um, but we've done a lot of small property investments, apartments, condos. We renovate them, we fix them up. We've
Ah,
done that for probably 10 years now, 20 years even. So that's our little side hustle, and Paul manages all of that. But that's something that I could leave the corporate world and use that to supplement income. So that's our little side hustle. No, I've never been an Amazon influencer. I don't think that would work well, or an Instagram influencer. It's property. We always invest in property. Mm.
okay. Fantastic. Have you ever experienced an unexpected financial setback?
Not hugely.
Okay.
Uh, when I saw this question, I thought we're very, very, very protective of our financial identity. I know that's sort of not what you were asking, but so that we don't suffer financial loss or
Okay.
identity theft, we're very protective of that. We don't give out information. I shred absolutely every piece of paper that has
Wow.
our name on it. We don't, we're very careful about doing credit checks, because
Okay.
every time you do that, a bunch of people now have your information and your credit score dips. We take that really seriously and we protect it. So
Okay.
hopefully we haven't suffered a major calamity. Of course, I look at the stock
Yeah.
market every day and I suffer setbacks in terms of the stock. But touch wood, and I hate to say that out loud, touch wood, but we're very cautious about our financial identity.
I think that's smart. What have you outsourced in your life?
The cleaning,
The cleaning. Outstanding.
the cleaning. I think as you achieve financial independence, why not? As you get more comfortable financially, why shouldn't you enjoy your life a bit better? And that's why money's so important. You
Yeah.
work hard, you can achieve some financial comfort, and you can outsource things. So the cleaning,
Yes.
that's big.
I
You want
love
to
it.
scrub your own toilet, Lisa? Come on. I
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. What do you wish you knew 10 years ago about money or spending or saving or investing, anything related to finance? Is there anything that you look back and go, oh, if I could talk to 40-year-old Bronwyn, if I could talk to 20-year-old Bronwyn, anything that comes to mind?
Yes. The latte doesn't matter. And instead of going to Starbucks, put that $5. Well, is it $5 still? Is it something else now? Is it?
I
I
I
don't know.
don't know. I haven't been in a while.
But come home and put that in a piggy bank. There are some things that you think are trendy and fun and exciting, like going to Starbucks and walking around your office with the Starbucks in your hand, and they're not really. So I have an example. It's not mine, but a friend of mine, he's like you. He's a financial whiz. He doesn't run a business. He's a friend. He talks about cars and 401k. He said that's the big thing. He said, if you're comfortable buying secondhand things when you're younger, of course, we all want to tote around in a brand new car. But his view is, if you save half of that money, you put that in your 401k and you buy a secondhand car, you will be millions of dollars richer by the time you retire, and that's when you can afford your new car, and you will be able to retire 10, 15 years earlier. So his view always, and he would give me this coaching, make sacrifices when you're young, and then you won't have to make sacrifices when you're older. But if you spend and you worry about driving a new car, and you worry about being seen in the latest fashion, and you will be working much, much longer. So because he's coached me on that, I wish I'd been able to tell 20-year-old or 40-year-old Bronwyn that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, everything doesn't have to be new and sparkly.
Thank
Make
you. Thank you for sharing that. So I would love to transition into what I call the speed round.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Very exciting. Some questions that I think are just interesting benchmark questions to see how each of us spend differently or what we're willing to spend on or not spend on. So are you ready for me to dig into these?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay. What is one thing you'll splurge on?
Ooh. Uh oh God. I don't want to admit this on camera, but hey, I oh gosh.
Do it.
I will splurge on my face. I
Oh.
often tell people I have the $500 face cream plan. Like, because I do not want to splurge on a facelift. I do not want to splurge on anything cosmetic, and I'm pleased to say I'm all natural. So I will spend dollars on good skincare. And yes, some of that can be $400-500 a jar. Um,
Wow.
but if it's working, that's my guilty splurge. Yeah.
Yeah. And you it's a good trade-off between that
And
and
paper.
love.
Never skimp on toilet paper.
Oh, really?
Don't go for the cheap stuff. No.
Okay. Life's too short to use lousy toilet paper.
That's right.
Okay. We're getting all kinds of pearls of wisdom today. What is one thing you're super frugal with?
Ooh. I do switch off the lights every time I leave a room.
Okay.
I'm the antithesis of the $500 face cream. I have a mania. I'm a little obsessed, a lot obsessed actually, with drugstore makeup. So once I've got my skin looking nice, I love to haunt TJ Maxx and Dwayne Reed and Walgreens and CVS and pick up, because let's face it, a lipstick is a lipstick is a lipstick. That's something that I just won't spend dollars on. I go to all of the sort of cheaper drugstores and buy makeup that way. Yeah. Is that too silly? That's my.
No, that's impressive. That's where your spending is aligned to your values. Like I want my skin to look really nice. Now, what color lipstick I have on, we can be flexible. And I want to
Yeah.
try different things. Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
What's the right percentage to tip?
Oh, minimum 20%. Have compassion for people who are in service roles. It's not easy. And particularly post COVID, it's even less easy. So have compassion for people in those roles. 20% is a minimum, and then go more, go higher if you really did get good service.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you think is the right amount to spend on a car?
When you're younger, go secondhand. When you're older, you can buy the caddy of cars. In fact, I do have a Cadillac. But
Nice.
but I've only had that for 3 years.
Okay.
In my 20s, I was driving around a little Mazda Capella secondhand. I have this thing about not leasing cars because I sort of think that's a waste of money. I will buy a car now. I will even, and it could be new or secondhand, and then I will keep it for 2 years. It's a good one. It's in good condition, and then I'll trade it in, and then I only have to add a little bit more to top it up to upgrade. I don't keep them. Yes, I don't run a car into the ground. I have one for 2 or 3 years. Keep it pristine. Don't let the dog in it. Keep it really good, and then 3 years later, you sell it for almost what you paid for it, and then you top it up with a little bit more.
Good advice. Ooh, you got my wheels turning.
Well, I just can't. Well, you could explain it to me, but I can't justify spending $200, $300, $400 a month on something you don't own. I find it hard to get my head around that. Again, it's this you can sense my whole philosophy, which is spend money, have a sense of loss, be conscious about what you're spending. And I feel like a lease car sometimes it's a little, can I say this? It might be self-indulgent because it's just about having a new car, but you never own it. You never own something.
Right.
So I don't know, it's just me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I too actually am a fan of purchasing versus
Mm.
leasing because I feel like at least, even though the value of the car is depreciating, at least there's some of my money left when I go to trade it in. But
Yes.
I try to hold it for 10 years. What's the right amount to spend on a bottle of wine?
Ooh. Well, am I paying or
Yes,
someone else paying?
you're paying.
Paying. Life's too short to drink crap wine. Although the market is flooded with decent, good, enjoyable wine. I'm going to say 25 to $50.
Okay.
More if it's a special occasion,
Okay.
splurge.
Yep.
But on a regular basis, you can get some good wine, good
Okay.
drinkable wine. Yeah.
Okay. What's the right budget for a 1 week vacation?
Hmm. Well, Paul does all of that booking. That's hard because I don't have visibility into that. I can tell you, I never skimp on a hotel.
Okay.
I go to a nice hotel because I have to lay in the bed and, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's icky if it's a cheap hotel. But I will skimp on, say, the airfare or something else. But when you get to your destination, I don't skimp on that. That's all I know. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. How much would you spend on a purse?
um, well, as you know, I've had this plan for many years, many years. Every time I got a bonus at work, I bought, my husband and I were allowed to spend 5% of that bonus. He bought things like golf clubs, and I always bought a bag, a designer bag, or a designer
Okay.
pair of shoes. Uh,
Mm.
for the reason that when you get the bonus, you don't miss that money. But if I took $2,000 out of my bank account now
Mm-hmm.
and went to buy a designer bag, that would hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That would hurt. So I always, yeah.
Isn't
So
that interesting?
but when you give me a bonus, I haven't sort of put it in my bank account yet. So I'm going to take a little bit. And the other reason I do that is because it's a visible sign of the hard work that you put in to get that bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I walk into my closet, and after 30 years of doing that, I've stopped doing it more recently. But I walk into my closet now, it's a little bit of a shrine of shoes and bags, which I also feel I could sell on eBay and have done a couple. I have spent, $2,000-3,000 on a handbag. A
Okay.
couple of them. I keep them. That's just my collector thing. I keep them in their dust jackets. I keep them very clean. I put them away. I don't fling them in the closet when I get home.
Right.
I have I have I have bags that I've had for 30 years and could sell them for more than I bought them for. They're in
Wow.
pristine. Yes. Classics.
Wow. I think to give you a heads up, I'm going to add your closet to my bucket list of places I want to visit before I
Is
die.
it? Now, the only thing sad about it now is I equally have as good a shoe collection, but COVID changed all that, didn't it? Like, do you even wear shoes anymore, Lisa? Have you got
Hardly.
shoes on? Yeah.
I have on slippers.
And so I've got all these beautiful Pradas and Manolos. And again, I only bought them when I got a bonus. I did not buy them on a regular salary, as just a sign of thank you to myself, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I don't use them. I rarely wear shoes myself now.
Ugh.
So they're all sitting in my closet. You can have some if you like.
Oh, that we were the same size.
There you
What's
go.
what's the most extravagant purchase you've ever made?
Oh gosh. Well, I've got some big ticket items like buying a house and buying cars. I'm not, strangely enough, for all my bags and shoes, I'm not really a jewelry person. I don't
Okay.
expect jewelry every birthday. I don't have a big collection. But in my earlier years, can I say this? No one's going to rob me now that's listening to your podcast, are you?
No, I don't think so.
I have a tanzanite and diamond ring that Paul bought for me. It's beautiful. I've had offers to sell it, but it
Really?
stays in. I wear it twice a year, and it sits in the safe. And so I would regard that as extravagant because I don't think I'm getting my money's worth for it. I feel uncomfortable when I take it out of the safe. It's not the
Oh,
biggest thing I've ever seen, but
okay.
I think that's extravagant because it goes back to my philosophy of spend on yourself and splurge. But if it's not something you're using, don't buy it just for status sake. Make sure you use these things and you enjoy them. So that's why I'm saying that's extravagant. It's a piece of jewelry that has to sit in the safe.
Got it. I
Yeah.
think that's
But
a great.
I'll bring it out for the next podcast, Lisa.
Okay. Oh, please. That would be great. All right. I know I need to let you go. As a closing question, do you have a favorite money related quote or mantra that you would want to leave our listeners with?
It's not necessarily a quote or a mantra, but what I would suggest is be conscious about what you spend, negotiate your worth for a job, and don't be shy about wanting more money. Like I think we're not supposed to say that, are we? We're not supposed to say that we want more money, but there's nothing shameful in it. And wait till you're 60, it becomes very important to you. But part of that is understand where you spend money in the first place and
Mm.
make sacrifices when you're younger so that you can live a little when you're older. That's pretty much what's worked for us.
Oh, words of wisdom. Bronwyn, thank you so much for taking the time to
Thank,
talk to us.
thank you, Lisa. It was so good to catch up with you, and good luck to everybody out there. But this was really good fun. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Money Talks are hosted by myself, Lisa Clements, owner of Clear Springs Wealth. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone you think could benefit from talking more about money. Make sure you leave a rating, a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find show notes at clearspringswealth.com/money talks. Thanks so much.